I didn't expect to be making another video about gold so soon, if at all. Creaking desk as usual, for any other problem. Yeah, I didn't expect to be making another video about gold, but I just watched him interviewing a man who lies almost as much as Jerry Gable. Lies and lies and lies. Clive Stafford Smith. I've exposed his lies so many times. He didn't tell that many here, but because they didn't cover that much ground. One good thing Stafford Smith did say is that, I suppose you'd call it the persecution of convicted sex offenders in the United States, that they have to notify people in the locality where they live. I think that's all wrong, and it creates problems like homelessness and that. When a man or woman has served the sentence, that individual should be allowed to get on with his or her life. Obviously, there are restrictions, I mean, if you've got a conviction for any kind of dishonesty conviction, you're never going to get a job working in a bank, probably not handling money. Child sexual predators, I mean, if these men are dangerous, they shouldn't be on the street, should they? They should be locked up. That's one thing I say, but obviously I disagree with his claimed. Well, he believes that the death penalty there should be no death penalty at all. He seems to think there should be no punishment at all. I mean, it's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, I'm not a great fan of death penalty, but for terrible cases like the Idaho student murders, that guy should have been facing the death penalty. Well, he was, but his corrupt lawyer made a proffer to the prosecution, and the prosecution accepted. The guy who assassinated Charlie Kirk, he should be executed, and the guy who assassinated that healthcare executive, he should be executed. I won't name these people because the suspects haven't yet been convicted, never mind the weight of the evidence against them. But Clive Stafford Smith, yeah. One big lie, he said he claimed he was Jewish. He said he was half Jewish. Well, actually, there's no such thing as half Jewish. Ask your rabbi. He appeared to claim that he was Jewish on his father's side. Well, his mother wasn't Jewish. She died a while back, and he published her obituary in The Guardian. And from what I can tell, his father wasn't either. He just made it up but gold is of course a Jew, and he made it up to, I don't know, curry favour with him or whatever. No mention of Linda Carty or that case, However Collins. I'll put a link or two below to my exposés of Stafford Smith. I'll just cover a couple of specific things here, very specific. He said that Ed Johnson was innocent, and he could prove he was innocent. Johnson was the case that many years ago now, the first case that Stafford Smith handled, first capital case, and Johnson was executed. There was a documentary made about it, and it gave him sort of fame. And Johnson was innocent. I can prove he was innocent. Well, here I'm quoting here from, what is this? This is on my main website. This is Edward L. Johnson, petitioner. This is 1987. That's quite a while back. Mississippi Department of Corrections. This is an appeal, and this is the court responding. Johnson asserts that at a time when he was the only suspect, when he was in custody, and after his family had told law enforcement agents that they wished to get Johnson an attorney, a statement was taken from him by officers In this statement, Johnson implicated himself and gave officers sufficient information to enable them to recover Marshall Trest's T-R-E-S-T, Marshall Trest's gun that Johnson had used to murder the officer. Johnson's new counsel contended that the admission of this statement was obviously prejudicial. Well, yeah, I mean, if you confess, you tell them what you did with the murder weapon, or they find it. It's obviously prejudicial. I mean, there's a lot more guff here, but and the other thing, I'll keep this short. The other is his chum Maharaj, who died fairly recently. Maharaj was on death row for donkey's years, and Stafford Smith claims Maharaj was innocent, and he doesn't mention him by name, but the two men he murdered, father and son Derek and Dwayne Moo Young, they were murdered by drug cartels or whatever. He said he had confessions from 6 people that had murdered them. What he conveniently forgets or doesn't remember is that there was actually a witness to this murder, a bloke named Neville Butler, and under other circumstances, Butler may well have become what's the phrase? An accomplice after the fact. The Butler testified against Maharaj, and yeah, Stafford Smith claims that he found all these people who could testify years later that they this is complete rubbish. In fact, a good few years ago now, I was contacted by a district attorney. I think she was a district attorney. She'd been reading my articles about Stafford Smith, and she was in Florida. It was in relation to the Maharaj case. I said, well, you've only seen what I've written, basically. But he's a total liar. There's a reading from my article on Maharaj. In the penalty phase, he took the stand and protested his innocence. You're supposed to do that, not in the penalty phase, but in the actual trial. And Maharaj didn't take the stand in his trial. And why not? Well, because no. Stafford Smith portrays the Miami police as a cross between Inspector Clouseau and Commander Ali Desai. They're tripping over bodies left, right and centre. That's why they're not turning a blind eye to the men running the South American drug cartel who are feeling as real killers. I mean, it's complete rubbish. Anyway, I'll put a link or two below to my exposés of Clive Stafford Smith. Don't believe a word this man says. As I've said before, he is the Baron Munchausen of death row.